You're listening to a DM podcast.
Welcome to Over the Back Fence. I'm Di Edwards.
I'm Nicola Dale, and we're buddies of nearly 4 decades. And yes, we actually do happen to share a back fence.
We do. We love parties, people, inspirational stories, and honestly, making the most out of life.
So join us as we open our hearts, share our stories, and hear from some of the most inspirational people in the world. And have a laugh along the way.
Yeah.
Enjoy. Whoa, what an interview. What a chat.
I actually feel exhausted. I feel like I've been for a jog. Like this woman, talk about a powerhouse. Her book, Self-Belief is Your Superpower. But,
Tory
it's
Archbold.
anybody, anywhere, any, man, woman. You listen to this podcast and she'll talk all about just self-belief, passion, having goals, creating what and how and when you desire that by simply aligning yourself. And a lot of his interviews come back to alignment, don't they?
They do. And it's also with your superpower, give and give back. And I tell you what, listeners, there's going to be a giveaway. So hang in there.
Yeah.
Tory's actually
doing
giving you a great one. So hang in, tune in.
Yeah.
You'll absolutely love
She's
it.
world renowned, this woman, for her, she had a global branding business, huge all over the world. As Nicholas, she brought Zara to Australia. Huge. But she, in her 40s made a big about turn. And that's something all of us need to listen to, because I believe a lot of us get stuck in a rut. But there's never too late to find those signposts.
If you are in a rut, she's going to help you get out of that rut.
Do an about turn.
Yeah. Well, I feel invigorated. I know Di's like that. So it's the thing, I'm exhausted but invigorated, and I'm sure you'll absolutely love it.
Sense of purpose was remarkable. Enjoy, guys.
Enjoy.
Ciao.
Di, how are we today?
I'm fabulous. I'm a little bit hungover, actually.
I thought you were off in the wagon or something, weren't you?
Well, I was going to be. Wasn't that last week, though? Yeah. No, how unusual to have a dinner party on a Monday night.
Yeah, I know. It was great.
It was quite remarkable, though. There was, was there 6 of us, 7 of us or something? I was thrown together by someone at my house. And, one thing I learnt last night, Nicola, which blew me away, was I knew a lot of the people around the table, but I spent time with 2 particular people, and I learnt things from them that I never knew. Yeah. And we always talk about everyone has a story, but they were so in depth. I was like, I even text the girl today and went, I need to finish the story. I almost couldn't sleep because someone came in and interrupted us. And that's the gift of friendship, is sharing your stories.
It is. It's really important. And I think it's really great. It was like over the back fence. So it was really easy for me because I just jumped the back fence and I went to Didi's house and it was good. And then Didi had a group of people. And I loved it too because I was speaking to people who I hadn't spoken to for quite a while and love their stories, So talk about stories.
Yes, stories.
We have got the queen of stories herself. We have got Tory Archbold at our back fence. And a little bit about Tory. Yeah. She's an absolute dynamo. And I tell you what, my heart is happy because she's the queen of happy hearts too. Started her own business at the age of 24 and now she's the founder of Powerful Steps, which is an online community and platform for women making global impact. And she encourages women to own their story, step into their power and take careers to the next level. Woohoo!
Yay!
Sounds
like someone we all need.
Powerful stories. So Di, talk about stories, powerful stories, and we want to hear your story, Tory. So welcome to the back fence.
Tory.
I
like
love
that.
it.
That's very
Story,
catchy.
Tory.
It's so catchy.
Did you plan that?
No, do you know when I was growing up, everyone was like, Tory, tell me a story. And who knew I'd have a PR company?
Isn't that rhyming?
Exactly. I just thought of that. Well, welcome.
I just have to firstly show you my notes. It's number 24 for
love it.
If anyone gets to see this part of our body. But I lost my glasses, so I was laughing my head off this morning printing 24 to see if I could see it. So anyway, I can read without glasses while I'm talking to you, which is pretty amazing.
Love it.
So I know I'm going to throw this out. It's like here, I'm going to shoot a rocket over to you. 0 to hero with self-belief. Tell us about that one.
Well, I'm sure that you have both experienced this as well. I feel like at some point in our lives we reach rock bottom. But rock bottom is actually where you want to be, because then you can go sky high. So my journey began when I was in my early 20s, and really no one believed in me. I mean, I was a terrible student at school. I was definitely the talker, the disruptor, the one that was always sent outside.
Ditto.
Funny about
I
that.
know.
Yes.
But
Same.
but what I recognised was it was actually my superpower. I love that you snort, because I snort too.
You too. What about Jess Rose,
Sometimes when I
the
giggle.
snorter? I bet you love
I'm
Jess's.
so sorry.
And,
Nothing
no,
like
she does
other
snort.
people think we're doing something else with that word. No, we're laughing.
We're laughing. We're definitely laughing. And so self-belief struck me at a really young age, because I recognised that when no one else was going to believe in my pathway, that I had the choice that I could believe in myself. And so what I decided to do after falling in love with, storytelling and media and entertainment, when I, backed myself and went across to the UK and got to work with some pretty amazing entertainment companies like MTV, Columbia TriStar, George Lucas Films. And I was like,
Big names.
Big names. It was like the Spice Girls. I got to watch them as they were coming out, and Howard Stern, who was the biggest shock jock you probably remember in America.
Absolutely.
Yes. You're on the cusp of all
I was
that.
on the
Really,
cusp of
wow.
it, yeah. And, obviously reading rapidly all the magazines. And I'm in the studios with these incredible talent. And I come back to Australia and I recognise that it's not really happening. And I need to work out how I can actually build a business that sets my heart on fire. So I went around and I started coffee dating, because I had absolutely no money in the bank.
Was that your idea, coffee dating? Or
Well,
was
my
some
dad
sort
always
of
said to
setup?
me, everyone loves a long lunch in Australia. And of course they do overseas as well. And in those days, that's how you basically did business. But I didn't have the money to take people to lunch and drink, bottles of Bollinger, as you see on Ab Fab, because I wanted
Yes,
to go into
totally.
PR.
Yeah,
It's in the
it's
fridge.
true.
So
Yes.
it was like, find a really good coffee shop where you're going to be seen, you're going to be heard, ask people for coffee, and really build a sense of community and a business purpose around that. So I did, and I started committing to 3 coffee dates a week. And I was,
a great idea.
yeah,
It's a really good
It's
idea.
brilliant.
It's the art of connection.
it is the art of connection. So it was one with someone I knew, one with someone I wanted to partner with, and one with someone completely outside of my comfort zone.
Oh, every week. Are you listening to that? Can we just repeat that? One that was someone possibly you would
That
like
you
to
know.
partner with.
Well, yeah, the second one is someone you want to partner with.
Partner with as in relationship.
Well,
Business
Why?
business
relationship.
relationship, like
Business
partnership,
relationship. And then the
and
first
then-
one. What was the first one?
tribe, community. So someone you
community,
know.
right,
And
someone
then the
you
third
know.
one is someone completely outside your comfort zone.
Which is
Yeah.
so we were saying that too.
So
also,
that was the intention.
That was the intention, but that's the framework that actually launched my business. Because when
brilliant framework, isn't it?
yeah,
It's a
and my
framework for
second
life.
business as well.
Yeah.
And I truly believe like a lot of rejection came from those coffee dates. I don't want to just say it was all glossy, because
Sure.
the idea was, I want to start a brand communications agency. I want to attract the world's top performing brands, celebrities and influencers. And of course, there are a whole lot of chuckles and snorting as well.
Yes.
Oh, you can't do this.
You've got to have a snort.
I was like, that's
a backyard
great.
snort.
That's
yes.
amazing.
And I remember in particular this guy that I'd been dating many years before I went, and I took him for a coffee date because he worked in advertising. He was in Bill's in Crown Street, Surrey Hills. And he literally was like, Tory, I don't think this is a very good idea. You need to go off, get married, have a white picket fence, just like in your picture over there,
yeah.
and join a few clubs, and a man's going to really look after you, and you're going to have a really fabulous life. And I remember walking out of there going, well, fuck you.
Yeah.
I am the leader of my own destiny. I just said to myself, I know that I'm here for a high purpose, and I know that I can make a difference. And so I did. And no one in Australia, once I decided that I wanted to launch Tourstar, would give me a go.
Great name too.
Yeah.
isn't it? Tourstar.
Tourstar, yeah. So that came from, me calling up a colleague in an advertising agency, and I said, I've actually quit my job and I'm starting this business. I don't know what to call it. And he goes, well, we always called you Tory as a little star, so why don't you call it Tourstar? So that's where the name
Brilliant.
came
Brilliant.
from.
Can I just ask you there, where did you get your confidence at the age of 24 to do this? Was it with your dad backing behind you? Was it from already life experience for travelling and you had that behind you?
Like the
What do
self-belief.
Yeah, because, I'm guessing you hadn't hit rock bottom at that stage, but you had that confidence that a lot of kids don't so necessarily, or people, that kids at 24
Not
have
in their
that.
early 20s. It's the
Yeah,
opposite
so
usually.
where did you think that came from? Is it innately in you?
It
or-
just came from the fact that I knew that I could create something. And just because someone says no, it doesn't mean that you have to say no. You can say yes. So I just started saying yes. And the
So
doors of
good, isn't it?
opportunities started opening up. But I want to say, when I turned 44, I decided that I was going to create powerful steps. And I did go and see quite a few people, and I did the same coffee date. And Larry Edmer, if you're listening to this, you told me not to start Powerful Steps as well.
Oh, Larry, we know Larry.
Yeah.
I said, I'm not sure that that's a really good idea. It was it was the same process that I went through. But again, I could have chosen to believe those people that this business would not create an impact. But the opposite happened because I backed myself again. So I really feel that if you really believe in something, you're passionate about it, and you step into it with, some really strong values that are anchored to all of your decision making, you can attract whatever it is that you put out there into the universe, and you can actually have that impact. So in answer to your question, I think rejection is really important, because rejection actually allows you to believe in the possibilities yourself of what you can create.
But how many times that when you were rejected, did you go, maybe they're right? Because it's only human nature at times to say or feel or think that.
Of course. Do you know what? If I counted, we'd be here all day. So I really think that you've just got to push that aside and go, what is it that I want? I don't have any competition. None of us have any competition. It's about staying in your own lane and owning what you want to do. And just going for it,
and
right?
You know what? That is such so
Clear vision.
Clear vision.
And passion.
Clear intent. And also anchor everything to your values. So throughout my entire career has been based on 3. So passion, creating and building brands, and now creating and building powerful brands for women.
Yes.
Integrity, because I don't like assholes. Who does, honestly? And the third one is delivery. You're only as good as this podcast chat or paying forward your knowledge to someone else. And so through passion, integrity, delivery, what you do is you get a golden thread of decision making. So if people want to reject that, that's okay, but maybe they're not anchored to that value set. Maybe they're not meant to be on that ride of life with you. Maybe you're not meant to take them on your journey. So what happens is the higher you vibrate, and the
What's
more...
that? What for people that don't know what that means?
Yeah, so the higher you vibrate, it's like, okay, you can walk into any room, anywhere in the world, and you can get someone to say yes to you, because you're magnetizing and you're in your complete power, because you believe in what you're doing, you're anchored to your truth, you work with integrity, and you know the importance of paying forward your wisdom.
And I think that was us for the podcast, really, wasn't it?
Oh, absolutely. We sort of straight away when we sort of, let's do a podcast, what do you think, Di? And Di's gone straight back, bang, with the list this big, and it just happened. Because we just knew straight away, do what you love what you do.
Yes.
That's the motto.
And it really is, and that's is for us. And we even, when we started, said if we can help one person, Yahoo,
achieved our
let alone
goal.
ourselves, because we enjoy each other's company. And we did from our very first podcast. It was just, and so then it's just like we're on the path of...
Absolutely.
And it's just
believe.
brilliant.
And it's funny, I couldn't help but think about years ago when I was in New York, and I had Wendy, my sister, Wendy Heather, who's a designer, had her range over my arm, and I'm running around New York, and no, you can't come in. And I walked in to Saks Fifth Avenue, and I went, hi, I have an appointment. I didn't have an appointment. And they said, who with? And someone had told me a name, and I said, with so-and-so. I said, but I'm running late. Rang straight through, went up there, and they said, who are you? I said, walked in, there was 5 people, and I said, I'm from Australia, I've got a range, you've got to see it. I was hanging up while they're all going, who's this woman? They ended up buying the stuff. Yeah. They couldn't believe how bolshy I was, and go Aussie, whatever. But I was determined this was great and it was going to work. But it's funny, it's like it's a mindset, isn't it?
It's a mindset switch. And it's getting out of your own way. And also you saw an opportunity and you thought, no one's opening a door, so I'm going to open it myself.
Literally.
Yes, that's exactly right. That's so true.
Very powerful.
Yeah, it is. It's powerful. It is. And also, I guess, too, if someone then
maybe think about it.
Shut that door or said no, you would have found another door.
Absolutely.
What tips would you say for people to build that resilience? Because still is, not everyone has that thing of going, you can get knocked back, and they can really take it personally. And even though what sort of tips would you say for people to sort of like really get that resilience, so you don't sort of like really take it too badly and they fall in a heap and no.
It's a great question. So, when I had Torso, we were attracting all of these incredible brands, but quite often there would be brands that we wouldn't attract, and I'd say to myself, well, why? But then I had to switch my thinking to that door's not meant for me. Mm-hmm. That door's meant for someone else, and I wish them every success, and something bigger and better is going to land in my lap.
Bingo.
Yeah.
How good's that?
So if you switch your mindset, and second bit of advice, and it does revolve around marinating in shit, which I'm sure that lots of people will actually really, like, it's a bit of a come to Jesus moment. But when I was having my, it literally is, when I was having my transformation, I was like, get out of your own way, Tory. I sat with this Buddhist monk in Thailand, and he said to me, you got three choices. You've got a really big challenge at the moment. And I'm sure a lot of people going through divorces or separations on your podcast will relate to this. Like, they're stuck. I was stuck in the biggest pile of shit ever, and I could not maneuver my way out of it. And he said to me, you've got three choices. You're at the halfway mark of your life. You can either marinate in this challenge and this situation for another 45 years, in which you're going to be living life sniffing shit. And I was like, oh. And he's like in this pristine little office in this, in his cloak and everything. I'm like, oh my God, you're talking about marinating shit. Second thing is, he said, you can look at the challenge and you can be in it for 45 minutes. You can kind of struggle. You can make a few mistakes. It's okay within those 45 minutes, but you're going to sniff the shit, but not as badly as 45 years because you're not getting out of your own way. And he goes, you will be in your complete power when you don't even sniff the shit. And that challenge comes your way, and within 45 seconds, you've made up your mind. Doesn't matter if it's right or wrong, but you're on your path.
Wow.
That's a lot. There's something else you were saying. Sorry, we're back to shit. But you were saying when there's a pile of shit over, if there's a pile of shit over there, it's your choice whether you
marinate in it.
Some problems are like a pile of shit. It was.
Yeah.
It's your choice whether you choose to step in that or not.
Yeah.
And I know that's back to shit, but it really made a lot of sense to me.
Yeah.
Like,
The
we all have
options
problems.
again.
You got the
It's
three
interesting,
options,
isn't it?
but it's the same as like doors are opening. So you've got to make your mind up in 45 seconds. What door are you going to walk through? Are you going to say yes? Are you going to say no?
And sometimes is it as simple as that, like just with the mind shift there. So I think that's good for our listeners to hear that sometimes it really is just that mind shift of going, flick. I can go there and I can stay there.
Because everyone complicates it.
And
You're
what
right.
else have you got to lose but to try and go there?
That's exactly right.
It's very
that is exactly, you got to try.
I'll try again tomorrow.
Exactly, and that's the beauty of it, because he said to me, if you make a mistake in your mind, right?
Yeah.
If you make a mistake in your mind, don't beat yourself up about it. Just give yourself 45 years, 45 minutes, or 45 seconds. And also, mistakes are good. We all make them.
Yes.
We make them every day.
They're lessons in life, aren't they?
Normal.
Yeah.
We say we're
We have
students
to
of
be normal.
life.
And people appreciate honesty, tell you truth.
But
as
that's
opposed
a
to
really
holding it
positive
in.
way of saying, I love that positive way of rejection too, is that it actually wasn't meant for me, or maybe not at this timing now.
Yes.
And wish them the best as well. I think that's a good thing as
You've
well.
got to pay forward with gratitude, because gratitude breeds gratitude, happiness breeds happiness. But also when you're in flow and you don't look at what other people have and say, I want that, but you're actually in flow because you know that something better is coming your way, that's actually the ultimate way to live life.
And when you say flow, what does flow mean?
Flow is being in complete alignment. So, you hear about Matthew McConaughey and the green light process.
Love that book.
Absolutely.
It's such a great book.
Yeah.
He's the only one that I've ever asked for an autograph, and he rejected me.
No.
But you know what?
Someone
I
better
did it
came
for
on.
Bella.
Yeah.
Bella was like, Mom, you've got to go
Your
ask him.
beautiful daughter Bella. It's funny, we've got a connection there with Bella. She's so beautiful.
That was not a green light.
No. And that's when you go
So
down.
you're talking about alignment. And what
I'm
for
talking
those
about
listening that
alignment.
don't know what that means, what's alignment?
Alignment means, okay, I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
So when I was running my agency, I pulled back because for personal reasons, I just want to spend more time with my family. And I wanted to get out of that 45-year shit pit, right? So I was really focusing on what was my flow, what was my way forward. But what happened during that process was I allowed other people to run my business, in which I wasn't as involved, right? So I'm not out there. No one really knows what I'm doing. So we were launching Kate Spade into Australia, and my team were like, Tory, you've got to get up early. I know you don't like getting up early, but you need to come along and meet all these people. It's really important for the business. So up I get, put the mascara on, fur coat, go in. And I learned that this company that also licenses Kate Spade licenses a whole lot of other brands that were on my manifestation board, right? But they have no idea who I am. So they said to me, who are you? And I said, I'm Tory, and this is my agency. And they're like, oh, we don't know anything about you. Tell us about your company. And so I literally had less than 60 seconds to make an impact, because guess what? They were launching Victoria's Secret in this market 6 weeks later. So I said to them I'd be very interested in pitching for that business. And they said to me, no, guess what? There are 3 other agencies. We're down to the wire. And I said, look, why don't I just send through my credentials? Let's just see what happens. I've got nothing to lose. Maybe you can gain something. And she said, okay, no problem. So I explained to them that I launched Zara into Australia. I explained to them what I'd done with other Australian businesses and taken them global.
By the way, launching Zara into Australia.
That was just a throwaway.
Yeah, exactly.
Company,
That's massive.
Yeah.
That is a congratulations on that. How old were you then?
In my early 30s,
Yes.
yeah. So I was a
pretty
single
impressive.
mama, but it was teamwork. It was teamwork with Interdex, which is actually the #1 retail brand in the world now. So I reminded them with those credentials. I went back to the office and I said, we're irrelevant. I don't know how this has happened, but we need to go back and find our power. So we used the case studies of 22,000 people on the day of launch for Zara, $1 million in sales. And then we gave other examples. And about 4 or 5 hours later, I sent it off. So it was early evening. They were in New York. And I just said to myself, whatever's meant to be will be. And this is where the green lights come into process, right? Because they're like, no way, 3 agencies are shortlisted. You can send it through, but whatever. You're one of 2 agencies at 11 o'clock that night. And I was like, oh my gosh, we are in. But guess what? These people probably have been speaking and building a relationship for many, many weeks and months before me. So I got onto Instagram and I did flashbacks to all of my hero things. So we'd been at the time looking after Sea Folly with Gigi Hadid and Miranda Kerr and all these things. So flashback to when we did this campaign, flashback to when we did Zara. Dun, dun, dun. So then I got on LinkedIn and I thought, who do I know that can give this girl in New York a coffee? Because Nespresso is my client. So I thought, I'm going to line myself up in the morning. I'm going to have an espresso. She's going to have a Starbucks. What does she drink and who's going to put it on her desk before she gets on Zoom with me? That's how I won the business. But this is the really interesting thing about the green lights. While I got Victoria's Secret and I got to go to the last show in New York, I then got a call from Steve Madden's office. We've been looking for an agency in Australia. How come we don't know about you? Again, I'm irrelevant because I wasn't putting myself out there.
Put yourself out there.
So they said, okay, no pitch, nothing. You're launching Steve Madden into Australia. So I was like, okay, second one. This all happened within weeks. And then because of my coffee dating every time I went to the States, I always, for my partnership coffee date, met with an agency out there that I thought had the best influences, the best connections. And I said, I look after Australian brands. How can we connect and work together? So out of the blue, I get an email from an agency in LA. Tory, my friend's launching a beauty brand in Australia. Would you be interested in launching it? And I was just like, yes, no problem. Didn't ask who it was, just was like, yes. Next one, Drew Barrymore, Flower Beauty. So within a month to 6 weeks, I had
You're
3
in flow, baby.
biggest brands in
this is
America
amazing.
saying tick, tick,
So
tick.
what you're saying
three
here
ticks.
It's
is
flow.
you were back to alignment and green light. My God,
Yeah.
Matthew.
See the green
You,
journey?
you had it. You were in flow, so it was just circulating,
flowed.
coming back
Yeah.
to you, coming back to
But
you.
I had
the
to
whole
step
time.
back into what I knew I was good at. And I had to tap into my connections because your connections are always going to endorse and advocate for you.
Yep.
And I had to stay true to what it was that I wanted to create for these brands. But I had to show them that I could.
But the motivation for all of that, ultimately, you were coming back because you said I was
back to
aligned.
myself, yeah.
So that's self-belief
Yeah.
that I have this potential. I could do that.
Because when someone says you're irrelevant and they don't know who you are, that kind of is a bit of a
Yes,
You
stab
know?
and turn.
Yes,
because
Yeah.
especially in a career that you've worked so hard for, but I'd also chosen to step away from.
Yeah.
So it was
You
my
stepped
choice
back
to
into
step
it.
back into it and
Go,
go, well,
Tory.
this is who I am.
That's really
Isn't it?
admirable
Yeah.
in so many ways because I'm sure there's people that are born and lived and died and never actually felt that flow. Do you know what I mean? And I'm sure there's people listening going, what is that?
But this flow
Read
of
Matthew's
life-
book for starters.
Yeah, it is
Yeah.
a good book.
Read
Yeah.
Self-Belief
This
is your
one.
superpower.
What I like
by
also
Tory.
with this Tory,
And
self-belief,
you're fine.
whether it's in a business or not. So you've got listeners there who mightn't be interested in building their businesses or doing that, just the flow of life. But that's sort of the thing too. Even
It's
with
very
friends
true.
there or friends sometimes that might have dropped away, maybe ones that should drop away at that stage of your life and other ones will flow in.
It
so
is true.
It's a thing there.
It's
I
like
think it's a
nature.
real life lesson. I've got to ask you now with George Clooney, because now you're the coffee one there. Have you met him yet or not? Because I think
Do you want to hear a really funny story?
Yes, please.
We do.
I was appointed to look after Fossil Group in Australia with a really beautiful lady called Annemiek.
Yes.
And if she's listening to this podcast, in fact, Annemiek, I'll send you the link because you're going to absolutely roar with laughter. So in those days, we used to take the magazines overseas with us, as you know, and we'd go and do the big media events. And there was an event that was going on in Milan. And so everyone, because she was the only female and she was surrounded by all these men. George Clooney is going to be at this party outside of Milan. We need to organise PR. You need to bring your team over. So Annemiek and I get on the plane. I set up all the media. We're going to be meeting George and we're going to be doing all these amazing things. It was a joke.
Oh, are you kidding me?
I am not kidding you.
No.
I am not
way.
kidding. I am not kidding
So you went all the way to Milano.
Yeah,
Are you
outside
joking?
to a
Hold on a
castle
sec.
with the managing director of Fossil at the time.
I'm
And
trying
it
to
was a
find.
joke.
I'm trying to find the humour and the snort here. I'm going.
Oh, this is such a
really?
joke.
So who's the joke on? You know,
Well, the joke was
Seriously.
supposed to be on us, and the men in the business had, but she's still in the business, and she is an exceptional leader. Like, she is extraordinary. But back in the day, that's what men in businesses used to do to women.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So funny.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
I bet you made the most of it knowing
We
you went
had
shopping and had a
such
good
great
time.
must have
time
had a
over
ball
there.
then.
Exactly.
You know, like, who needs George Clooney?
Hey, I read at 42 you slightly bored and thinking, this isn't exactly going the way I planned at the moment. Where am I at? And you redesigned your sense of purpose. Can you explain that to us?
Well, it starts with a green light. So I got those three brands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then what I learned from each of those brands was something about myself, something that I wanted and something that I didn't want. So when I was at the Victoria's Secret show in New York, my role was to get all the interviews with the supermodels over there. And what I recognised backstage then was we're all the same because one of them had a really big panic attack. And like any good PR girl, you have lavender oil in your bag. And I saved her from the panic attack. And I recognised that you might be in a really privileged position to be working with all of these brands and these celebrities, but at the end of the day, we're all human.
100%.
And if you can show empathy and compassion to someone else and allow them to shine, then that's a really good business model.
So a light bulb went on your head.
In my head.
And what happened from there?
So from there, we then launched Steve Madden into Australia. Then we had Drew Barrymore. And I was listening to Drew speak about, her whole adventurous life. And I thought, well, gosh, I've had an adventurous life as well. But she wanted to get a talk show when she left Australia. And she was really waiting for that call to come through. And I really wanted a different life. So I just met my soon-to-be husband. My daughter was happy. Like, everything was just like,
Good
everything
place.
was, I was in a really good place.
Yeah.
And I'd had the green lights on those three brands. And I saw her speak and I was like, you know what? I think my PR career's over. And I'd never had a
That's
photo.
a huge
That's
Yeah.
really interesting that
Yeah.
you're affected by Drew. Like, you brought her in
Was the
really.
energy.
And then she's helped you.
Yeah.
It's like the flip.
And she was
to
waiting
go
for that
somewhere.
phone call too.
Wow.
So
Like,
she was
really?
waiting
Wow.
for the phone call
Yeah.
for that. And then what had happened was, because we'd partnered with Marie Claire magazine to, promote her, because I loved Nikki Brigger. And Nikki had said to me, Tori, can I do a story on you? We've never done a story on you, but it's going to be on single mums with global careers. And something inside of me said, that's not my story. And
Oh, no, that's
And
really
I-
interesting.
yeah.
Isn't it?
Because she repeated that to you,
Yes.
back to you.
Yeah.
And you listened to that and went, well,
That's
hold
not
on a
my
minute.
story.
That's not sitting right with me.
yeah.
Wow.
So what had happened was 4 months before Drew had come out, I'd worked with this amazing journalist called Ali Pascoe. And for some reason, I just opened up. And I'd never, ever actually opened up to anyone. And she gave me that sacred space. And then she said to me, this is definitely not a single mum story with a global business. She said, it's something bigger. Would you be interested in a feature? Now, they wrote 3 pages and they interviewed Bella, they interviewed me. But I said to them, can you please put the story on hold, because it's not just my story, it was my daughter's story.
Yes.
And I really needed her buy-in, because there's a lot of shame around what goes on when you are stalked, harassed, intimidated, by a partner or a father or a friend or whatever it is. And we'd never publicly spoken about that before. because my life was, this glamorous publicist.
That's what I'm thinking. So a whole lot of this truth is surfacing
It was
now.
just coming. There
So
was
push
a
it down.
So
We're
you had
busy.
this life, but also this internal part of your
Yes.
life. There's a lot of suffering. There's a lot
So
of
much.
hiding things
Yeah.
as well, and also protecting things for your daughter.
Yeah, you have
which is
to.
natural.
Absolutely.
And
Wow, you were really in crossroads
So
here,
I was
weren't
on
you?
complete,
Wow.
Yeah.
which runway am I going to go
major.
down?
Oh,
and so
I
it was,
can feel it.
Runway,
Yeah.
I feel like I'm there with
Yeah.
you.
So it
I've
was,
got goosebumps.
Yeah.
Isn't that weird? It's a really powerful time in your life.
so
Yeah.
4 months later, we decided yes. And then Marie Claire was like, oh, well, we'll put it in the issue with Drew. And I said, no, it needs to be after Drew because Drew's the star.
Yeah.
And then, so she got her talk show and I got my new life.
And
Yes, she got a talk show.
and what is the new life,
Yes.
Tori?
So I ended up meeting
tell us,
my soulmate, and within 10 months, he proposed. We got married. We've now got a blended family. We're now in business together. We
And
travel the
business is?
world.
What sort of business
Powerful
did you-
Steps.
Okay, now what is
So
Powerful Steps?
It is an online platform for women
So all
just like you and I, like all the things I've gone through. You're at a crossroad in life. What do you do? You've had great success in your life, but you say there's more.
Yeah.
Who do I want to become? What do I want to step into? Exactly why you guys have started this podcast. You've got something to give and you've got wisdom to pay forward. So I now work with women all around the world, from entrepreneurs to, mums that had really successful careers and then decided that, my kids have now left school. What do I do? I'm going to launch a multi-million-dollar business, to CEOs, board directors. And on top of that, we just launched another business called Her World International.
Her world.
Her World International
that.
with a friend of mine with a TV show out of New York. And our first event is in LA in October.
Yahoo!
Woohoo!
That's exciting.
How fantastic.
That's really
Yeah.
exciting.
I want to be able to give Australian female leaders, entrepreneurs, or women that just need to get that little bit of love in the room from a powerful community
And you know
access
what?
to other markets.
And age doesn't,
Wow.
because we're really like 50 plus our target market. But quite honestly, you talk about Antonia Kidman. Like, my God, she had, am I right, 6 kids?
Yeah.
And she went, I'm going to do law.
Yes.
Like, tell us about that. That's pretty remarkable at that age with 6
Yeah.
kids to say, it's about me now, I'm going to go and study law.
Yeah, I had a coffee date with Ant in Singapore. Again, a nice coffee date.
Yeah,
So
love
she
it.
was in my tribe and she was studying when she had those kids and now she's a family lawyer and she's had an extraordinary journey, but she just said, I've got something more as well. And it was her passion, I guess, because of what she'd gone through with her ex to actually help other people.
You know what? I think now it's so good hearing more and more stories like that because there's more and more people, like even Jodie Spears, married to Ben Fordham, successful TV presenter and anchor. She's now starting to be a lawyer herself.
Yeah.
Like, wow, these are people top of their game.
Yeah, age is just a number. So I say I started my first business at 24, my second at 44, and this will be the runway. And I just had a lady who runs $1 billion business join my business attraction program. She's 66.
Wow, there you go.
And she's 66.
Pick up sticks.
And she said, I've got more to give. Can you help me? And I'm like, I absolutely can. Because age is
Wow.
just a number.
Well, there you go. I'd like all our
yeah.
listeners to hear that too. So it's just great. And so can you tell us about with your masterclasses that you offer and you do and tell us a bit about that?
Well, we're going to offer something to your community, actually.
Whoa! Tell us more,
Well,
Tori.
I really
That's
believe
great.
that if you've got knowledge, you should pay it forward. And if you have wisdom that can actually help someone else step into their power, then you should gift it, whether it's going on a podcast, showing up on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, whatever. So we have this thing called Network Like a Pro, which will help everyone build out their own personal brand. And also it gives you the framework for the 3 dates a week to build a global community of coffee dating. But I'm going to give you a code. So in the show notes, that's what we're going to do. Anyone that listens can have access to that.
Wow.
And it's a master just to
It's an
read-
online masterclass.
Online masterclass.
And yeah, so
And-
there's videos, workbooks, and then it also gives you access to our community. The stories that we share with other people are what they remember at dinner parties, on podcasts, on coffee dates. It's those little golden nuggets that actually give you the golden thread in life that allow you to step into whatever you're meant to be doing in your 40s, 50s and 60s. Because if Drew hadn't have done that, I wouldn't have gone, you know what, shutting it finding everyone else a job.
That's amazing.
And, shut down a multi-million
Thank
dollar
you, Drew, and
business.
thank you, Tory, and thank you, Tory, for this. So, listeners, come on out. I mean, this
It's
is
going
a
to be
really
fun. We'll
great
put it in the show
opportunity.
notes. Thank you for that. You were interviewing an astrologer, and I love when she mentions purpose and how your purpose can change with time. Basically always stay tuned to universal signposts. But see, a lot of people think my sense of purpose is, I'm going to be a lawyer, an architect, an engineer, whatever you are, and that's it. That's the end of the road. Now, you're a shining example of somebody that just listened to your body, mind and spirit and went, no, this isn't working for me right now. Others will burn themselves out and continue through that journey. I think it's reassuring for a lot of people listening that, that's not definitive for the rest of your life. If you're feeling low energy, you're not feeling inspired, you can flip that and redirect your sense of purpose. Where I used to think that my sense of purpose is that.
Yeah.
And that's what it was. Now, you're a walking inspiration because you listened and you changed. You went flick and you went down this beautiful, spiritual road.
Look, we're running out of time. Before we've got our signature questions,
Permanently
I've got to
running
ask
out
you
of time.
Was there a pivotal moment when you really got sick as well?
Yes.
That changed? Can you just share a little bit about that, Tory?
So, like any good Jackie Collins novel,
Right,
which we
yes.
all read when we were
Yes,
growing up,
we all love them.
I had a near-death experience.
I think I only read one. That was
A
enough.
near-death experience.
I had a near-death experience. So I was due on a plane to London for a high-profile UK brand, and I was a single mum at the time. I had 22 staff, 10 freelancers, 2 assistants, so one for me, one to help Bella and I, and of course a nanny, and there was shit flying everywhere. And my appendix burst unexpectedly before I hopped on the flight, thank goodness.
The body will always tell you.
The body will, and I knew I was dying before it happened. I knew it, but I ignored all the signs.
Because you're too busy.
I was too busy. And then what happened was my
I
appendix
can relate.
burst. I
No.
felt the snap.
Oh my God,
I
that's
heard
so
the
dangerous.
snap. And unfortunately, I was deadlocked in my house. And my daughter in those days had actually changed the code on my phone.
How old was your daughter then?
Yeah, 8 or 9 she would have been. And I had to wait for someone to call me.
What?
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's
so
tough.
an
Oh, my-
ex-boyfriend.
You're deadlocked in, your appendix had burst.
Yeah, and I could feel my body dying and had to wait for someone to call me. And so it was an ex-boyfriend that was down from Hong Kong, and his dad was an ex-heart surgeon who called the ambulance and, got me out of – I had to be revived on the way to the hospital.
So you really had that full in and out of life experience.
Yeah,
too.
so 2 a.m. in the morning, I was operated on by an amazing surgeon who basically said to me, who's your next of kin? What's going to happen to your daughter? You're a single mum. Like all these questions I was unprepared
That's
for.
huge.
Yeah, and so basically I did see the other side. And
What did you see?
Well, you see a white tunnel and then it goes into darkness.
Lee Holmes said the same thing.
Everyone
Remember
does.
that?
Yeah.
It's the same
some
thing
do,
for
yeah.
even
Yeah.
Some say they don't see
Kerry
anything, yes.
Packer.
Yeah.
Even Kerry Packer.
Yeah.
Same thing.
So I
He said
came
that.
back for my daughter and she was there for me. I was there for her. And I lost 8 kilos in 5 days. So I always say it's good to have a little bit of extra fat
Yes, yeah. That's-
on your
wow.
body.
Wow.
And
I'll run with that.
Yeah,
Yes.
I run with it every day. But honestly, that fat saved my life.
How did it change your life?
It changed my life because I was given a 6-month recovery, but in actual fact, it was 3 or 4 years. And I ended up with adrenal fatigue, chronic fatigue. I had to rewire myself. And what I realized was I was surrounded by takers, not givers. And so it was a big thing for me. And you'll hear me speak about a lot, a mutual exchange of energy. So anyone that comes into our community, Powerful Steps, it's sure, I've got a lot to give, but what do you have to give as well? Because unless it's that energy match, it's not right for me.
It's an ebb and flow.
Yeah.
It is. And so when
Yeah.
you talk about how do you attract these high vibrational people and opportunities, like being on this podcast with you today, it's because it's an energy match because you know that you're sharing something. So my recovery was all about who do I want to share my life with? And so that's why I decided not to sell my business, downsize my business. That's how I became slightly irrelevant, It's how I won full custody of my daughter in a restraining order, because I created the space to work out what are those little shit pits that are all piled around me. And one by one, making me sick. And I just stepped out of them one by one until I came into complete alignment.
And what did your surgeon say to you?
How magnificent.
Because this is just gold to me.
We were talking about this driving in.
It's so
Just blew me
beautiful.
away.
I started with the happy.
We love this surgeon.
Yes.
So my doctor said to me, Tory, I'm going to readmit you to hospital unless you get rid of all your toxic family members and friends who are not allowing you to heal. And I said, I don't want to go back to hospital, but I will say no to all of them. And the surgeon said to me the same thing. And he said, I know what your problem is. You're not happy. And he handed me a piece of paper and he goes, a happy heart is a magnet for miracles. He said, that's the way you're going to live your life now.
Can you say that again?
A happy heart is a magnet for miracles, and that is how you're going to live your life from now on in. I teach that.
What surgeon?
Isn't that beautiful?
Does that?
Well, I tell you what.
So he was an angel that emerged.
He was an angel.
When you needed one.
2 a.m. in the morning.
We just had a fabulous.
We did.
We had
Well,
Chris
he's-
Roberts,
he's a fun angel.
and he was kind of similar.
Oh my God, why are we
So-
always running out of time?
Yeah, I know. But still,
Noise the hell out of me.
That's like your mantra,
Noise
isn't
me.
it?
It is my mantra. So
Yes.
if something doesn't make my happiness, it's a clear no.
I've got
Yes,
52,000 questions
Yeah.
for you.
Oh, we watch you on
Yes.
front
I
months.
could have
you
you,
know, like
all,
really.
honestly, all
I'm going to
afternoon.
have you girls on my
I really mean
podcast
that.
and we will
Wow. We
continue
can
the
consider what we're
questions.
And I know we've got to wind up. You know what I love most of all is that when you thrive, you give to others.
you do.
And that's the mantra we all need to do in our community. Over the back fence is give back.
Yeah.
And
Very
you give
important.
to yourself
Yeah.
in the shower quickly too,
Nico's
don't
like
you?
that.
Oh,
You know?
last
But
one.
I love
Give
that.
up.
That's a tip.
You're
I just love all the
beautiful.
Tory tips.
What
but
does she
this
do in the
one-
shower? Sorry.
Let's
This
listen.
this one came from the Buddhist monk as well. He said to me, Tori, you need to learn how to meditate. And I was like, I don't have time.
Yes.
Who can sit
Right.
there going
See?
for 45
See?
minutes
Yeah.
every day? I
Shower.
don't. So he said to me, who do you have a shower with? So I said, me. And that's my sanctuary. So every morning, including this morning, 3 drops of lavender oil. I inhale, exhale. It anchors me to Mother Earth, but most importantly, it taps into my intuition.
It's brilliant.
So you get a beautiful light that comes and flows throughout your body. And then at nighttime, you do the same thing, gratitude.
So what you're
Yes,
saying,
yeah.
don't make
Gratitude.
excuses. Do it in the shower.
Yeah.
There's always a moment in time when you can.
I copied you
Yeah.
this morning. I got some oil and rubbed it in, and I
So
felt
we've
really
got to
good.
do the questions. Here we go.
Do you want
We're
to shoot, darling?
Yes, first question. And I think I've sort of got an idea after listening to you today. But if you had the opportunity of saying something to your 21-year-old self, 20-year-old self, 22-year-old self,
19,
whatever.
whatever.
What would you like to say to her?
Do it all again.
Right. Because you were so young. As I'm listening to her, I'm thank God she's answering this
Yeah.
question.
Do it
Like,
all
wow,
again.
Do it all again.
Wow.
That says it all,
Wild
doesn't
ride.
it?
Let's
Yeah.
get back up on it. Woo!
Yeah,
Wow.
absolutely. I would not
Wow,
change
the
a
roller coaster of
single
life.
thing, because through the roller coaster of life, you learn about forgiveness, you learn about acceptance, and you learn that each challenge becomes a gift to make you a better person.
Yeehaw. That's beautiful.
That's really
Tory,
sitting
thank you for
comfortably with
sharing
me.
that. That is really
And
beautiful.
Nicola.
And if you could share a back fence with anybody on planet Earth, who would it
Besides
be?
us,
Tory?
of course.
I'm actually
yeah,
thinking
yeah,
it's
and
going
mine.
to be the two of you on my podcast.
Hey, high five! Yay! We'll accept it.
I'm
I love you
actually-
as a neighbour. Let's
I want to learn more. I want to learn more.
We'd have a bottle of
Wow.
champagne.
It's a
Well,
fun
we could
fence. I'll
definitely
tell you what,
do
isn't it?
that.
It's a fun fence. We had dinner parties last night. It all happens. That's
so
back
true.
fence. Well, you're more than welcome. You're part of the tribe.
And Bella.
Well,
I'd like
and
Bella.
Bella. Oh, we
Nicola said
love
Bella's
Bella.
Bella.
I
This
know
is,
your daughter. I love, and you'll love my
Bella
daughter.
can ask
I've
you
got
the
a Gabriella
questions.
and a son.
Let's
house.
do
We've got
it.
2 boys. We'll bring the gang over. The whole
Bring
thing.
them all. I mean, we started the podcast because we wanted to inspire others. You are a walking, talking version of that. Thank you for what you do for the earth, for everyone around you, because you are a giver.
You are.
And we need more of you in the
We
world,
absolutely
Tory.
do. Yeah. So thank you. And everyone, thank you for listening.
Yes.
Don't forget to follow, rate and
Yes.
review. And
Yes.
Jody, I mean, talk about stars. We've got the Queen of Stars. We love everyone to rate. And I don't know, what is it, 5 stars or something? Because it means a lot for us and it helps our community grow. But we've got a big giveaway. What do you think the stars should be for Tory?
This is all about,
Wow.
this is called Superpower. So let's aim high. I think probably what the max is 5. Go 55.
55
Yeah.
times 55, I think so.
Aim high, have your self-belief and sit in the power of 55. See you guys.